and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we bring up issues pertaining to women, issues that women are concerned about. We celebrate the achievers and we try and find solutions for those that need those help. But today we are addressing a very grave and serious problem. You know, we've all read about the girl who was raped in Ujjain, a minor, and then she went from house to house seeking help, but very few people turned up. Every day in the newspaper there is a case of rape, there is a case of a child or a woman being attacked. What is the society doing about it? And the abuse is not just there on the streets, it's even there within our homes. Within the four walls, we've heard of domestic abuse, we've heard of women being abused, we've heard of minors being abused. What are the solutions? A lot of people are worried about going to the police. Why is that? What can the police do? What can the law do? And what do the NGOs do? Joining us on the panel today, we have people who actually are on the ground and working on the field, working with the stakeholders. We have Dr. Suman Khanna Agarwal. She is the founder and the president of Shanti Sahyog. It's an NGO that does a lot of work with domestic abuse, holds camps and tries and finds solutions for women empowerment. She's also a former professor of philosophy. Archana Agnihotri, a former software engineer who is now the director of Samadhan Abhiyan. It's also an NGO that deals with child sexual abuse victims who qualify under the POSCO law, and also works for their rehabilitation. And Swati Saxena, she's a lawyer and counselor who represents women abuse victims in court. Sumanji, first I'll begin with you. Aapko first of all, welcome back to the show. You know, we saw what happened in that Ujjain case. Are you surprised that वो door to door गई पर किसी ने मदद नहीं करी?
Yeah, and I'm even more surprised that there was one door which was open and there was a boy standing there, a man, rather young man. And he looked at her and then, he just went in and didn't do anything. So later on, the police came and questioned them. And then the father came and said, no, he had come in and he was अपनी भाभी से मिलने आया था, बात करने आया था उसके बारे. चलो भाभी से बात कर ली तो भाभी बाहर आ जाते तो जाके लड़की को बुला लेते, you know. So that's also, you know, जब इतनी distress में थी, why didn't the bhabhi come out and how far would have that girl gone? A few yards. So that's also so callous, you know. अब ये कहना नहीं वो तो आया था बुलाने लेकिन ये हुआ.
पर क्यों आपको लगता है एक तो carelessness है या डर है to get involved कि you know police आएगी?
That also is very much there. That why get in unless that way even these road case accidents people don't want to take to the hospital or whatever. But I think हम लोग थोड़े indifferent भी हो गए हैं. Maybe इतना ज़्यादा हो गया ना because we had such horrible cases then Nirbhaya case and even after that Shraddha case and all that, you know. So maybe people have become immune or what it is that not wanting to get involved. And I can't help but quote Gandhi where he says that zulm सिर्फ सहना भी गलत है.
Not doing anything is a crime also.
Yeah, not involving yourself is also a crime, you know. So I think it's a high time that we just took individual responsibility and did something about it. High time.
Archana, you work a lot with minors, you know, both boys and girls. What are the kind of cases that come to you and can you tell us a bit about, is there also economic strata where these cases happen, well-off households maybe hota hai?
Yeah, okay, two things. One thing is there is, as you asked for the data, there is a study done in 2007 by Women and Child Development Ministry. And the data revealed, it was done all over India in 13 states at the time. And the data says that 53% children are sexually abused in India. And out of this 53%, 57% are boys. So don't think that boys are safe. They are also rather more unsafe because of our social structure, because we have male dominating society. And there is no harm because there is only one head in the body. So society will have only one heading, like either male or female. That is not the problem. The problem is because of the male dominating society, we put too much pressure on the even 4-year-old boy. इसको घर को आगे चल के चलाना है. That little boy has the pressure that he has to be man, he has to be bold, and then we say, oh, you are a boy, you have to be strong. And third thing, we protect our daughters. My daughter is going somewhere, we should be careful about what she is doing. We will explain her, we will tell her, when you go out, be careful, inform us. But when our son goes out, we don't tell him these things. That poor boy also has pain. That poor boy can also get in some trouble. That poor boy also has the same feelings, same emotions, same tenderness as the girl has. We will have to raise the children, boy or girl, with the same tenderness, with the same caution for the both of them, so that then only we can stop it. Second problem is, problem is lack of awareness. We are not well aware of these problems. We are not well aware of this sexual abuse issue. And let me tell you, the study says sexual abuse has nothing to do with the social strata. It is uniform in all the social statuses. So we cannot confine it to one level. That is one thing. One more point is there. I know the case, 28-day-old girl had been raped. She is no more
28 days.
Day-old girl was raped. So don't think that a child after certain age needs to be protected. You have to be careful to protect your child from day one. When you have your child, you are responsible for the protection of the child, and be it boy or a girl, it is the same. Please protect both of them. This is my personal suggestion. Now, one more thing I want to add, as you were talking about the police. Yes, she could not handle that suffering. Now, one more thing, as you said, yesterday only we had our annual program and I released my POXO survey data. In that data, one very interesting data has come up. When we asked that if child sexual abuse happens, what will stop you from going to the police? And the answer was they are not afraid of police. Only 8% said that they are afraid of police retaliation. But more than 50% said that they will not go to police due to fear of social shame. That समाज में लोग हमको क्या कहेंगे, लोग क्या कहेंगे is so much into their head that they will not inform the police. This must be addressed. That it may, one good thing is that they are not afraid of police. Wonderful idea. But please, समाज नहीं, उस बच्चे का सोचिए जो कल का समाज बनने जा रहा है. सिर्फ वो वोटर नहीं है तो क्या वो इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है? वो भी बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है. वही कल वोट डालेगा, उसको तो अच्छा बनाइए. This is my personal submission.
No, very interesting findings, but the main one is at least police is now instilling some kind of confidence. That is a good step. Now the society needs to do its bit.
Correct.
But Swati, you're also seeing a lot of cases that are coming to you in court. The women that come to you, how do you feel? You have to convince them, chalo court, chalo, make follow it to the logical end, or are they hesitant?
Yeah, absolutely. They are very much hesitant. They are very much hesitant to even speak what is happening to them. So, like, whenever they come to me or my team or at the NGO or in court, like, the very basic thing which I try to explain them is, listen, I am listening to you, I am feeling you, and I'm believing what you are trying to tell me. Okay? Because if I don't make them understand these three things, then they are not going to open up. They are not going to tell me what is happening. And even if they tell me what is happening to them, they will not tell me in like at full length ki kya hua tha. They won't go in the details. Like, I'll have to sit with them like as a counselor, just keep talking to them, try to extract as much as possible. So like, as after listening to ma'am, like what I have understood so far is, see, laws cannot end violence. But without proper and good laws, it's impossible to end violence. Okay, right now, if I see the Indian legal system and the legislation, it is very much in place. It is very much in place. But what we are lacking in general is the civic morality and conscience. Like, people are least bothered. For example, if we are talking about the Ujjain case today, the 12-year-old girl, she walked door to door. This rape happened is one thing.
Yes.
She was taken care later on by the police officials and the authorities is the other thing. But in between was the civil society. The civil society was responsible. Like, you are shooing away the child. She's just a child.
6 hours.
For 6 hours. Like, she's just a 12-year-old child. You know, lawyer, NGOs or police or judges, like, nobody is coming. On that spot, nobody is there.
It's the man
the society.
on the street.
Right, it's the man on the street, people in their
CCTVs.
houses who were looking at her walking. ऐसा तो नहीं था ना कि वो रात में अंधेरे में घूम रही थी. She was दिन दिहाड़े walking on the street. Okay, and नाना करते हुए भी कोई ना कोई तो is always there. Could have helped. So
She passed through 700 CCTV cameras.
see,
700
CCTV
No, as I told you,
cameras.
the police, people were seeing it as a police case. They don't want to get into police case. That is the mentality. That needs to be addressed.
And for
Which
like for this, like when people get scared of police, like I tell people, I try to convince them, just be the whistleblower out there. I am going to protect you. I am going to tell you, like जब हम door-to-door workshops भी करते हैं या counseling भी करते हैं, I tell them कि okay, nothing is happening at your place, but if something is happening in your neighborhood or with somebody you know, just tell us. Come secretly tell us. We'll take care of the rest part. But you know, to ensure that there is safety even after you tell us is a major deal right now. People are so scared. Like ma'am is right, absolutely right. People are so scared of speak.
आपको भी, do you also have the same problem, because you are also the first point of contact with the abused? You know, when they come to you, what advice you give them?
You know, now it has been 3 years. So the first year it was very difficult. They didn't want to come and talk because they were very scared. मैंने अपने husband के बारे बोला तो और पिटाई होगी. They were very, very scared. But now 3 years into the program, now they want to come, they want to open up. In fact, they are so empowered now that they will even dial 100 and they want to file cases. They want to go out, you know, and even some of the men get scared that Shanti se wo bula lega.
Acha.
You know, so there's a big change in our community, but our community is only 17 slums in South Delhi, no? But there's definitely a very big change. But it took 3 years, huh?
For the
3 years, yeah.
No, but like Archana is talking about, do you also get child sexual abuse cases, or the mothers? Because there the mothers have to speak out for the children usually.
Child abuse cases also, but in the family, and the mother is also abused, and as well as the child, but more domestic violence with women. It's more with women. We've never really focused on just children. Some of the legal awareness camps which we have every week, and Swati is there in that. All women, we round up women. So, you know, and we have done one survey with the rounding up the boys of the alcoholic husbands. And you know, that what do you think of what's happening?
Oh, good.
And now today I hear from Archana that, you know, very often these people who had alcohol were sexually abused as small kids. And so then they get into substance abuse, which is really an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, so there is a backstory for every abuser also has maybe abuse attached to him.
There's something
which is
there. Because it's not normal to beat your wife or to...
or they see that happening when they were young,
When
their
they were
father
young.
beating
That
the
is true.
mother, and then that's how they pick up these things that is normal.
And you know, she's very right, she's very right when she says it's in all strata. For example, I was teaching in college, and there was another colleague, and she got married, and then very nicely, and then after about a year or so, she was going to get divorced. So we asked her why. So she was a very friend of mine. She says, I can't tell you, my husband is so nice, but he's having extramarital affairs. So I said, why didn't you tell him? Okay, you know, this is not acceptable to you. For you, you know, loyalty is important. She says, he's so surprised that I'm objecting. He says, my mother never objected. I saw my father doing this all his life. This is something very normal. Why are you objecting?
My God.
So just imagine, you know, so he took it as very normal. And they ultimately, because she couldn't take it, and they divorced. But this is an educated man, well placed, saying that I've seen it all my life.
This is normal.
Yeah, so this is normal. So what is normal, you know? The abnormal is normal. So you're right
Well
about
said.
strata. No? Everywhere we have it.
And in fact, actually, the more well-off or richer homes have more affairs. They think it's very glamorous to have mistresses, and the wives are kept shut either with jewelry or just, you know,
and there's this
izzat
new
ki wajah se.
concept of open marriages and open relationships which is coming
that
up.
has that even now courts also started kind of approving, which in my opinion is not right, because
Approving
it's
of?
loyal, approving of that extramarital affair.
Courts are approving of
Yeah,
that.
There was a
have been
case, actually it was a big
criminalized adultery
yeah.
now. That.
Okay.
So it's very common to spot people having those kind of relationships or arrangements between them.
And it's also very strange, you know. If the woman is not educated very well and not very intellectual, then the man says, I'm having an extra marital affair for my intellectual satisfaction. And suppose she is everything like that, then he says, no, she's not tender enough and she's not homely enough. So I'm having, you know. So
ये बहाने तो बहुत है, अगर
चित भी
ढूंढने वाले।
अपनी,
they need
पट
an
भी अपनी,
excuse,
you know.
yeah.
So it's a man's world ultimately, and patriarchy, I think, is just oozes out somewhere or the other.
I'm going to take a break, and that's a very strong comment to take a break on, that it's a man's world and patriarchy does have a say one way or the other. I'm going to come back on this point just after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today we're taking off from the horrific rape that happened to a minor in Ujjain and nobody came to help. I mean, the main focus is of course the rape, but also the apathy of the society at large. But these are cases, you must be seeing cases in homes, behind four walls, and the child is left helpless. You deal a lot with child abuse. Also, I wanted to ask you something. You told me a little while ago that there is not enough funds or coming to.
Yeah,
Why is that?
that's very good
Yeah,
thing. Priya,
CSR
let me tell
funding.
you.
CSR not
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
for child POSCO cases.
Incidentally, we got a CSR fund from an India Pesticides Limited. That is by they invited us, but they did not give fund for child sexual abuse awareness. They gave fund for creating child-friendly police centers in police stations. And on this I put the condition that I want to create awareness in that vicinity. So I was allowed. Then recently I had a seminar where all the CSR heads were invited in Mahatma Award Foundation. And there I asked those CSR heads that why there is no fund for POXO awareness, child sexual abuse in CSR. And then something strange came up which I could not realize at that time. They said big mafia is involved into it. Because child sexual abuse you see from your perspective of the families, but it is a big industry also out there. Lots of children are used for
Child trafficking.
child trafficking for sexual
Purposes.
abuses only. So that is why it is not happening. And he said, you guys should raise voice against it and create advocacy on it. So I said, I'm glad that at least you informed us. That's why they said their CMDs and MDs are afraid of touching this topic. And you have to be, that's why it's not there. So it is very interesting.
The awareness you create, do people now come forward and tell you I was abused as a child, or like she's saying the history when he's an abuser, he's either seen abuse or been abused.
Priya, it is, Amina, you won't believe when I conduct awareness sessions, I conduct for IIT Delhi also, and you won't believe in IIT Delhi, I do it for engineering students, 50% is disclosure there. It's I could not believe that they will openly come out and talk about it. After, yeah, in the session,
workshops.
In the session itself they said. And that is the time we realized, because our workshops are well designed. We do it very scientifically. We do it with the intention that people start talking, because this topic is a hush-hush topic. Still, we don't talk about it. So our main intention is first people start talking about it, and we are kind of very successful on it. And whenever I conduct workshops for professors, for different groups of, from children to adult, for all of them. Even we have a module for grandparents also. So whenever I conducted workshops, I got disclosures from be it professor, be it big leader politicians, they are today here only. I am talking of very senior IS officers who told us that it happened to them. And it caused some personality defects in them, because they were intelligent enough and they worked on it, they got the counseling done. Let me tell you, one of, she is with us now, and she openly talks about it. She became Mrs. Universe 2017 runner-up, and she took our NGO to international stage also for this. And she told that she developed eating disorder, she became obese after marriage. She did not tell anybody, she talked to her husband first time. And her husband was sincere enough and sensible enough. He put her into counseling. After counseling, she started working on herself. Now she's amazing person. She won the International Beauty Award.
That's a good story.
I mean, that is the difference. I mean, she could have been Miss India, Miss Universe perhaps. But she, I mean, because of this abuse,
no, but at least
she lost her those precious times.
But she could come out of it.
She could come out of it.
Any stories like this, where people actually say, thank God we went to court and we got justice, because we all say court, oh, kaun jayega, ek wo bhi hai.
Stories per se, there are many, but I would love to come to one. For example, there was this lady from Shanti Sehog only. When she came to us like a few years ago, she was all depressed and in a very bad state, mentally, physically. She was very much suicidal. She wanted to die right there, and she even tried all the tactics she could to suicide and stuff. But dheere dheere she came to us. We did counselings. We used to speak to her. Today, like yesterday only, I had her hearing in the court, and she's right now 9 months pregnant, and like she's fighting blatantly with the whole in-laws and the husband and everybody. Like yesterday in the court, the hearing went on for like 45 minutes, where the Sasurji was, you know, speaking crap about her. I was trying to keep her quiet, no, stay quiet, because the people who are sitting at the bench are watching him. Okay, and I loved the voice, the kind of you know, the demeanor she carried with herself that time. You know, she was so confident. She was like, "मैंने कुछ गलत नहीं करा है, and it happened to me. I am going to speak today." Like almost in all the counselings that we do, she, you know, she's so eager. She comes to us. She sits with us.
Yes,
she would get involved. She would try to help us reach out to more and more women. She would try to help them through her own story. You know, बोलो, ऐसे नहीं होता है, बोलो, करो, ये करो, वो करो. She would go places, you know. So it's a very nice way to look at things.
Yeah, because that's what you need. Okay, success stories. But you know, like she said, this girl was suicidal. So a lot of people, they come to you, so they don't have any other. Do they get support from their parents from at home? The
Well, one thing I must say, that when they call you, you know, they can't stop crying and they can't stop speaking on the phone about what's happened. So normally we, at least because my number is there, so I always tell them that we'll call you back. I take your number, everything. My counselor will get back to you. And they don't get support. Like very often, you know, this thing is still there, that I can't go back to my parents' place and become a boj ho jaungi, because economically strata वैसा है. So that also, they don't want to do that, burden the mother, and I don't want to tell my mother even. That is also there. So they can't really get the thing. But then I think, I mean, I really admire Swati and my whole team actually. In 3 years, they worked miracles. I mean, women come, they talk, and they, in the counseling room and everything, we've really made headway. But it has taken 3 years of building trust.
Yeah.
In fact,
totally.
yeah. So I think the trust is a key word.
Trust
And
is.
empowered domestic violence survivors, we call them now, not victims.
Survivors.
Yeah,
it's a
survivors.
more
We also
positive.
use survivors.
Yeah.
They are really survivors now.
True.
Yeah, and financially independent ho gaye hain. Because we
you help
also,
them,
yeah, we
with
help them.
workshops. I remember you told me that.
Yeah, skill development. They must
development.
join either computers or cutting and tailoring if the woman is illiterate.
Because
And
they
they do
have
very
to be,
well.
financial independence is a key
And they
part
want
of
to do it.
empowerment. I
They
agree.
want to do it.
They would want to. But a lot of you, with your, you know, people you're dealing with are just either the kids, so somebody has to bring them. Is it the mother? Is it the father? Is it?
Our
Yeah,
mobilizers.
it depends on
Ours,
who is bringing to us. Mostly it comes through government. Child welfare committees, they send the case, because once it becomes a case, then only we get to know about it. Yeah, some cases, before becoming cases, they come to us also. That also, because when we get disclosures, so we have to work, because we cannot leave unattended any disclosure. So we have to find out if it is current or happened in the past.
And how do you do that? You meet the child alone with the mother, or you just meet?
Okay, it's a big counseling process in which first session is with family, because we have to create rapport with the child. Then after the family, if it was not in the family, because most of the cases came
In the family. Yeah, I believe so.
So we have to meet the child alone. But we meet the family also, with the family and without family. Then we have a big team of counselors. They have their way of observations. They create and find out that exactly how the child was reacting when they were with the family, how the child was reacting when they are without family.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, one recent case, because you were saying, so I just thought I should share mine experience also. It was about a 14-year-old girl, city I cannot mention right now, it's somewhere in Delhi. And after rape, somebody had put some chemical into the child's mouth. She could not talk for 7 days and she was losing weight. And mother was a daily wager woman, so she would go in the morning, come back in the evening. Child is not talking. Sometimes children are upset, teenagers, and not talking, so mother ignored. After 4 or 5 days, when the father came, then he noted, because he was a driver, he used to go out of station. Then he said, why is she not talking? Because she was very much connected to her father. And then he found out, and he said, she's not talking. Then she was close to one of her Masi, so her Masi was called in. She was not talking to her. Then she took they took her to the doctor. Doctors, only quack doctors were there, because these are poor people I'm talking
Right.
about. So then that child cried in front of the Masi, and she could not talk, but she could say that something happened to the child. Then they went to the police. And in the police station, police used their techniques to extract the information. It turned out she was raped. And raped.
She was raped.
And still she could not explain that chemical was there, because she lost her, coherent brain coherence also due to trauma. Like they were saying, this child was in Ujjain's case, that child was mentally ill. Maybe it happened after trauma. This trauma of rape disturbs the mind heavily sometimes. So that child was not keeping eye contact with anybody. She was not. Her brain also started. Low brain. IQ disturbed brain she developed. So my counselor was so good. She talked to her, and then she developed connect. And within 30 minutes, she talked first time, and we found out that she could talk. She was not talking because of the trauma.
My God.
So counseling has big role to play. That I must say. Anybody, if any child goes through this trauma, please get the proper counseling done, not just the paperwork. That is very much needed. So counseling has big role to play. So as you said, yes, it's true.
Yeah. So last word to you, Swati. Is the legal process, you find it daunting? You find that it's usually counseling, say, would you advise person if you can figure it out via counseling, that's a good option?
Yeah, I would say if you can figure it out to the court through the counselings, then it's a very better and an amicable way to go forward with. Because ultimately, when you'll find out, you'll have options whether you want to proceed with the court proceeding, or sometimes family, they do not want to proceed with the court thing.
Also.
Yeah, and they would look for other alternatives, just to silently settle down the dispute or anything per se. So I think initially we should exhaust all the available remedies that we have before we go forward with the court case. And I personally request all the lawyers also out there to first advise their clients, whoever is coming to them, to first go for counselings with the NGOs or the organizations that are there, other than just telling them, chalo court mein case dal dete. It is not a package. It is not a package for you ki client aa gaya, package lo, and it's a life that is involved.
Correct.
And please respect that, and suggest practical ways to go forward.
Actually, what I'm understanding is it's a two-layered process. One is, of course, your legal rights and, your financial independence, your sense of self. But the other is the emotional reassurance, and which comes in more in terms of empathy, more in terms of saying, I am here, you're not alone. So it works at different level, and we have people here who are doing this good work on the ground. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for the work that you're doing for this show, and thank you for coming on the show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.